that have a bunch of money that bet. They're going to athletes and saying, look, everybody's doing this. You want to make some money sometime? Hit me up. We'll make it work for you. I think that's absolutely going on because, you know
what I want to know with this? This is where my head goes to. That's going to be very interesting if it comes out in court. Is these platforms, these betting platforms, they're obviously, online, electronic. They have their automatic data collectors. I wonder if people at the company flag these.
Well, I'm going to tell you why they absolutely are. And this is how these people have been caught. I mentioned prop bets and kind of how they work. If on tonight's Monday Night Football game, there's millions of dollars in action, that's going to be very normal, right? But some random prop. And that's the thing about these people. They didn't even try to hide and bet, 10, 20,000.
Right.
It was, we're going to bet as much as we can on some random prop, and we're the only people that know about it. And this is why when someone brings up, well, see, this is what gambling's doing to these leagues. No, this is the good thing about why we have legalized gambling, because regulators spot this shit. And that's what the good thing about a regulated market is. It's regulated. It's just like, this has been one of my thoughts on why we need to legalize narcotics in America. Because when you legalize something, there's a regulated board that looks over it and makes sure that everything's working.
So here's the one thing about that, Jeff, because I would like to think that way too. But something that I supported forever and do support is the legalization of weed. And yet I just had Steve Robinson in here who's uncovered all the ways that because they mass legalized it at once, all the ways fucking everyone's breaking every law and the regulators aren't doing shit about it.
And that is true. That said, when it's illegal, there is no sort of oversight, and everybody's doing it anyway.
That's true.
And when I talk about gambling, if we didn't have legalization and we didn't have some of these big sports books and a regulated body that look over it, some of this stuff maybe wouldn't be under scrutiny. And remember, before PASPA was passed, the legalized betting law, this was all done offshore. So that brings in the fact of you're now dealing with foreign governments, maybe in some that we don't even deal with, and there's no way to even understand what's going on. So yeah, I think the flagging of the wagers, that's why this stuff popped up. And we've seen that with some of the other investigations that these bodies are doing. There was investigations the last several years into various college games, Temple University, New Orleans.
Can you explain that one, the Temple University
Yeah,
one?
so there was irregular bets on point spreads. Wide moves in the line. I'm talking 13, 14-point moves in a basketball game, which is insane. And what we've seen is a lot of those are and have been under investigation. So I think all these people, and I'm going to maybe say something that no one else has heard, but if you don't, and I'm not saying it's these people in these indictments, but there is a group of people currently, and it's not the mafia or anything like that. It's young kids that have a bunch of money that bet. They're going to athletes and saying, look, everybody's doing this. You want to make some money sometime? Hit me up. We'll make it work for you. I think that's absolutely going on, because when we hear NIL, we think about, the Cooper Flags of the world who are making tons of money. A lot of the schools involved in some of this stuff that were investigated, schools like, North Carolina A&T was investigated.
They're making nothing.
People like that, they're not making little, if any, money. And, I think it's just a real simple thought of the money's just dropped off on your stoop, and you do what you got to do. Now, that hasn't been involved in an indictment. There's been investigations. Are they working towards something with that? If they do, that's going to be really big.
Oh, dude, I'll bet it's coming. I'll bet it's coming.
And I think what's the sad part for me is I love college sports. It's my bread and butter when it comes to sports betting. I thoroughly enjoy it. And to hear, I bet on that UAB Temple game, the one that I talked about. I mean, I remember the game perfectly. So
when was this? Last year?
This was, I remember the game. It was like 100-72 or something. It was a wild game. Was it the years run so consecutively? I think it was late 23, early 24.
Okay.
And I remember it was a big story. And the reason this whole there's a shadowy group that's doing this, there was a TikTok that went viral from some third string quarterback at Vanderbilt or something. And he said that he knows that there's this like mafia-like group that came to him. And people just threw it out like, oh, this fucking kid's rage baiting or something, engagement farming. And, you know, I think in the circles that I've gotten to know and been in, like, this is definitely happening.
Oh, yeah.
You know, and I again want to, I don't want to sit here and act like I'm an apologist for the mafia, because I'm not. But like, I think what it really is people that are likely maybe running games, poker games, and they also are sports bettors. Maybe they're someone who knows a mobster, and they use it as, you don't want to say no to me.
Right.
You know,
right. It's a pressure tactic.
I don't think they're out there like threatening to hurt people. It's just kind of, and that's the funny thing that I learned about in all the mob stuff I'm doing. Like, I think most Joe Q public, they hear the word mafia and they think like, you know, what the movies have told us, you know, or what the mafia maybe was 50 years ago. The mafia is not the powerful group that it was once.
Right.
But most people assume that it still is. Like if I go out, you know, on the street right now and I ask 5 people, when you hear the word mafia, what do you think of? You know what they're going to say? Generally?
Murder?
No. Tony Soprano.
Oh, you're thinking
or
like
Vito.
actual-
They're just going to bring up some fake movie
yeah.
actor or something, or John Gotti or something like that. I think that the most of America has a lost thought on like what, like even some of the reporting in this, it's like the mafia. It's like from someone that I don't like to call myself an expert, but like
You're an expert in the mafia.
okay, well, I'll tell you, like I've been doing this 4 years. The amount of people in that life that have contacted me in one way or another that say, I love your show. I mean, I could write a book. I mean, it's not like they're bashing down my door a lot of the time. Look, would I walk around certain neighborhoods in Staten Island or something by myself? Probably not.
No one would.
You know,
Yeah.
I think it's really just like, you worry about maybe some of the young kids that get upset or something. But like I'm trying to point out here is the mafia, they don't have that capability to go to athletes and stuff. They're not doing that. These are young people doing this.
You've made the claim though publicly that the mafia hasn't dropped a body in years. Now,
It's a fact.
Before I go into this, there is no doubt that as far as like dropping bodies and stuff like that goes compared to 30 years ago, there's no doubt that would have pulled back a lot. But you're telling me that they haven't whacked anybody in the last decade?
There is a no-kill order in the mob right now.
What kind of source do you have on that?
There haven't been any.
Yeah, that we know of.
No, but let me explain it like this. So I want to also backtrack because there'll be people in the comments saying, well, hold on a second. Frank Cali, the alleged acting boss of the Gambino crime family, was killed in 2019. He wasn't killed by someone in the mob. He was killed by a crazed individual that he had a beef with.
Right.
Who was not in the mafia.
Conveniently.
Right. No, you can look it up. Anthony Camello was ruled insane. He's in a nut house somewhere in New York. That's the truth.
I mean, does he have like a good coach as a lawyer or?
Look,
I don't like that pause.
I did an investigation into Anthony Camello. I talked to people that knew him as a child. I talked to people that knew him as a high schooler. Do I think at some point Anthony Camello had a dream to be a mob guy? Probably. He was from Staten Island. Every kid does.
Right.
But was he in a family, connected to a family, and did it for, maybe in his stupid warped head, he thought he was going to impress somebody, but he was not sent by someone else. Frank Cali, if you talk around, was very respected by everybody that I know of in that life. No one said a bad word about him. He was a very powerful individual. He wasn't somewhere out there, in public like a John Gotti would be. He was very low-key, made money. He was a Sicilian guy. Very respected.
Wait, he was actually, so he's a Zip? He was actually from Sicily?
Yeah, he was part of the Sicilian faction of the family.
Got it.
And he married into a pretty prominent family. There's no involvement. Camello was not like working for someone else and another family wanted Frank Cali dead.
Thank you guys for checking out this clip. If you haven't already subscribed, please subscribe and hit the like button on this video. It is a huge, huge help. And if you'd like to check out this clip's full podcast episode, that link is in the description below or right here. And finally, you can follow me on Instagram and X by using the links in my description below.